Hello guys, welcome back to another ranking video. It's not often I do a ranking video, but we have watched all 7 of the Mission Impossible movies, and now I am ranking them from worst all the way up to best. So yeah. Of course, if you want to go back and watch all of the reviews, they are all there on the channel, all 7 individual videos about each individual movies. If you want more of a deeper dive, you can go into that each one if you want. So, starting off at number 7 then, Mission Impossible 2. I gave a 3-star 2. That was the one that, at the beginning, he was kind of like scaling this building, and then there was like this love triangle thing going on. Yeah, it didn't really land for me, I'm not gonna lie. It didn't land. Like, I think the look of Tom Cruise was really funny. Like, right from the beginning, it was really corny, and it just didn't set, it just didn't set me alight, I guess. Do you know what I mean? Just didn't give me that, like, excitement. I will say it did have quite a good story with Brendan Gleeson and about this this virus that they wanted to if we give everyone this virus, then Brendan Gleeson was in charge of this pharmaceutical company which he had the antidote from, so then the world would want the antidote and then he would be a billionaire basically. It was all about money, it was all about making people ill to then, cure them. So really good story in this movie, but I just think Tom Cruise, Douglas Scott, and Thandie Newton, her name was, who played Naya. I think their three-dimensional love stuff wasn't great. We had a car chase scene at the beginning, which was mediocre in comparison to today's standards. But, was quite a forgetful one, really, in terms of all the movies. So yeah, in 7th place then, Mission Impossible 2. Coming in then at number 6, I gave a 3.5 star to 2 movies, and this was, in my opinion, the worst of the 2. And this is the one that kicked it all off, Mission Impossible, the first one. So I gave it a 3.5 star, and this is basically just, it's trying to find its feet, it's trying to figure out what it is. We obviously don't know much about it. It was, watching it, for the first time, obviously without watching any of the previous ones, it was a typical spy movie. It didn't really break any boundaries for me. There was nothing in the film that shocked me. I think the most of my score very much came from the end of the film, where he's going down and abseiling, I guess is that what it's called, where he's lying thing, and it's proper spy, and obviously the music is fantastic in it, but it's, it just doesn't hold up, I guess, in the same way that maybe it did when it came out in 1996. It doesn't hold up to me anyways now, but yeah, it's one of those things. It's something that kicked it off. It's not the worst one for me. Definitely had some good moments. I really enjoyed the plot, and the use of practical effects in this, with cars actually blowing up, than CGI, which comes later in some films. But yeah, really enjoyed that one. Next then, in 5th place then, and again another 3.5 star, I gave this to Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. This is the 2011 one, so we're jumping quite a bit up now in terms of, I think this is Mission Impossible 4, maybe, something like that, I think it is. Yeah, the 4th movie. And this is about, the Russians and, all about the nuclear attack and trying to get these launch codes. And they basically blow up the Kremlin. I think I gave this one, a really bad score, basically, in terms of, didn't really hit a 4-star because the CGI for me just looked terrible when, the building blew up. Obviously, this is a 2011 film, so it reminded me of, the Transformers CGI era of movies. And it just made it look like a video game. Tom Cruise as well, I thought in this was quite good, but the IMF kind of is not really a functioning thing because they go into this ghost mode. And yeah, I think the other good thing about this film is Simon Pegg's character really comes forward quite a lot in this film, and we get Jeremy Renner in there as well. So we get a few new people joining onto the cast and the regular cast, I guess. But same as all the other ones, it doesn't land as well, for me. So I couldn't really go to the 4-star mark. But yeah, top 5 though, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. So then we're in the top 4 now. 4 movies left to do, and all but the top one actually a 4-star. So in at 4th place, I gave 4-star to Mission Impossible 3. Now this is a shout actually, because not many people like this one. as much as the other ones. So maybe more people like Ghost Protocol than this one. But I preferred this one, directed by J.J. Abrams, this one is. And I think this was the one that really, I started to really like the where it was going, you know, like the actual Mission Impossible franchise. I liked it from number 3. Number 1 had a bit of like the old school stuff and felt like a typical spy movie. Number 2 felt like, well, just felt like a spin-off. Didn't really feel like the same as what I watched the previous film. But then number 3 had Philip Seymour Hoffman. We had Michelle Monaghan come on, and she was playing Ethan's love interest, Julia. Billy Crudup as well was in this. There was a lot of like good moments made in this film, and I think the story was fantastic in terms of us actually finding out and seeing Ethan as a person rather than Ethan as the spy person. You know what I mean? It was a really good way of us seeing him be a human being, and I think they got the balance really, really well, in my opinion. And I really enjoyed it. This is like one film I definitely will just like watch one day, just out of the blue randomly. So yeah, I gave that a 4 star. It is the worst of my 4 stars because of the age of it, but I think the plot, I think everything about it, the character building in the whole franchise, I think was definitely worth it being high up on my list, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, so there is number 4, Mission Impossible 3. Top 3 then now, and we have the 2015 installment. This is Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. This is the one where they scale the building. That's what blew me away in this one. He basically runs up and down the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, I believe it is. And yeah, they are taking on the Syndicate. Very similar, I thought, to like James Bond and Spectre, you know, in terms of like even Syndicate and Spectre. Like, it just reminded me of the same type of thing. We get Rebecca Ferguson in this movie. She comes in as Ilsa, and I think she's a great addition. Again, Simon Pegg, Jeremy Renner, you know, and also Solomon Lane's character, who's played by Sean Harris, comes involved. Alec Baldwin as well, he plays a really good role in terms of the secretary. So there's a lot of good characters coming involved, and we do get to see a lot of like Tom Cruise doing a lot of stunts and over the shoulder shots for his driving scenes and all that. It was all very, very choreographed, very structured, but very, very good. It was a good standard, and yeah, one of those that I kind of miss. I kind of wish I saw it on the big screen. It is also the first movie directed by Christopher McQuarrie, and he's directed all the ones so far, so Fallout as well as Dead Reckoning. So in at number 3 then, there it is, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. Top 2 then now, and we have 2 left, the 2 newest ones actually, and in second place it is the newest one, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. I gave this a 4 star. I thought it was brilliant. Like, watching it on the big screen, I thought it was really, really good. I just couldn't go to a 4.5 star because it just felt like a part 1 to me. It was an amazing piece of cinema. I'm not going to knock it. It's definitely not one of the worst films of the franchise, and it's definitely not one of my worst films of 2023. It is up there in the top 10 where it deserves to be. But it felt like a part 1. So I just had that feeling that this was half of the story, which of course it is, but I'm not a fan of part 1, part 2. Just never have been. I'd rather them have just called it something else, made a bit of an ending, but then kind of continued the story. Like, you could have done that in a way, but you know, I'm just nitpicking really. It's just, that's how I felt watching them, being honest with how I felt. Obviously amazing scenes. We had a train scene. We had some really convincing like CGI as well, with like this this train falling apart, and like, you know, Hayley Atwell's character and Tom Cruise being inside there, and like constantly. It did feel a bit never ending, but then at the same time it was well done. So I just give it credit. It was really, really good. So there it is, number 2. So number 1 then, of course, is Mission Impossible Fallout. I gave this a 4.5 star. I think it's the best one out of all of them. Tom Cruise basically flying a helicopter, hanging from a helicopter, Henry Cavill and him fighting, him hanging off a cliff. You know, you watching the film, you don't really know what's real and what's fake. You don't know what is actually a genuine thing in this film. Like, is this CGI? Is this real? Is this Tom Cruise? And that is good because it looks real, it looks authentic, and you are in the movie, you are in the moment, and you're enjoying it. Again, Fallout, the same as Dead Reckoning and Rogue Nation, is directed by Christopher McQuarrie, and, you know, it stars all the same cast. Rebecca Ferguson comes back, everyone comes back. This is also the one where Vanessa Kirby gets involved as the White Widow, so she, I thought, was fantastic. And it just took Mission Impossible for me to the next level. It started to become, I don't know, a bit more serious, and I think the same with Dead Reckoning, and probably be part 2 now. It's all going to be the same. I think for me, Mission Impossible Fallout is my favourite one. 4.5 stars. I think if I saw it in the cinema, I probably would have given it a 5. It's just up there with one of my favourites of the entire franchise, and it's up there as number 1. So there it is, guys. There is my ranking of all of the Mission Impossible movies. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know down below. There's going to be a lot of I guess discussion probably about number 3 and number 1. Maybe they need to be the other way around. That's what probably a lot of people will think, but it's my ranking. It's what I think. I watched all these films back to back. I will say about the franchise, it is a good franchise, but it's a difficult franchise to watch back to back movies, because although the movies don't really follow on to each other, and sometimes they do with some subplots, each plot very much is the same. So you're going into one movie, the world's going to end, boom, 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 boom. Move on to the next movie, the world's going to end. Like, when you're watching them back to back, it's very difficult. But if you're watching like one now in 2023, and then 3 years later a new one comes out, you get your Mission Impossible fix, so to speak. So it's very hard to watch like 2 films back to back. Like, normally I can watch 2 films back to back in a night, but with this I really struggled because they felt like I was watching the same film twice back to back. So it was hard to do that. So other than that, the franchise as a whole, I thought it was decent, and looking forward to seeing part 2. But there it is, finally done it. Mission Impossible ranked. There is the list, as I said. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what franchises you want me to do this for, of course. And of course, if you want to go back and watch all the other videos where I talk more detailed about each film, then go ahead there as well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.